to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. Gun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. There we go. I had to turn on my microphone too. Little technical glitch difficulty there as we have a new intro. If you're not watching live, go to youtube.com/tforce podcast. You guys can see our new intro for the live show. It was really well done by Jonathan Sanders from All Mid. He came on the podcast a while ago. A few technical glitches because I think it's like 100 gigabytes rather. And my computer kind of went trying to play it. So, guys, welcome. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching us. We are going to be talking preseason madness tonight. As you know, we've been covering that for the past 3 weeks. We've had a lot of stuff right, a lot of stuff wrong, and a lot of stuff we did not expect to happen. Humorously, I look at it and kind of like the Yasuo change, we know with the masteries where they had to hot fix it because he's crits and he was healing and he could trade too well. I kind of went, I didn't even think about the crit in Yasuo, and I kind of like buried my head in my hands. So, Punch is here.
Hey everybody.
Chira.
Yo, what's up?
Claude.
Howdy.
Days.
Hey.
Hello. All right, guys. Preseason madness. We've all been playing. We've all been trying to figure out the craziness that is the new items and patch and everything. So where do we want to start? What do we want to start with?
Well, I think it's pretty easy to figure out. You pick an AD champion that's offensive, and then you kill people.
Yeah.
If you pick a tank, you're doing it wrong. If you pick an AP, you're doing it wrong. You play hybrid. Hybrid's fine.
Hybrid's great.
Other than that, no.
Yeah, because probably the first thing that we never discussed or never talked about was Ginsu's Rageblade, and we actually jokingly said at the end of the item show that no one's going to build a Ginsu's anyway. And
I don't think we read the stats.
Yeah, we didn't even read.
Just die, Quinn, so let's get out of here.
We didn't. We just looked at it and went, no one's going to build it. But there's actually a couple things I like to talk about items because we also said no one would build Yumu's. And I went back and I read the stats and I started thinking about it more. I'm like, wow, Yumu's is actually really good right now, especially what it builds out of.
Really good.
Right. So it was kind of like going off of old builds and everything, thinking about that. But hey, that's what preseason's for, looking at it and actually playing with the items. I think the biggest thing for me was having that tangible evidence or tangibility, being able to play with the items, being able to jump in there and really, just have a real game. Because when we played on the PBE, it was 5 marksmen and good luck, have fun, see what works, and you never got to like play like a real game.
Well, I mean, even when we played yesterday, we were still in a game that it was 5 marksmen and see what works. You know, like that. Regardless if it's on the PBE or not, a lot of that stuff's starting to translate over to live, kind of in dramatic fashion.
Well, at least initially, everybody wanted to play marksman because those are the biggest changes. But
right.
I mean, as time goes on, it's only natural that's going to go back down. But to Chira's point, we are seeing marksmen that excel in other roles, like Quinn.
Really good.
Adam.
Quinn in the jungle, Quinn in mid lane. I don't think I've seen a Quinn in bot lane. And I really wouldn't expect to.
No, that ultimate's too powerful. I had 738 movement speed with Moby Boots and rank 3 ultimate. Like, I was...
Holy crap.
I was booking it through that map from one side to the other. It was great. You pick up home guards, you're back to the enemy's base by the time your team is, like, running out of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a teleport threat,
cool.
too. With that home guards. Not that she even needs it, because she can set a base so fast.
Yeah,
if the enemy is on your side of the map, you don't need the teleport. You can just run right to them.
No. Problem with
the ultimate chaser.
Problem with Quinn is if she even gets hit or goes in combat, or I just have to go in combat. But if she gets hit by anything, she pops right out of her ultimate. And there's a lot of times where I want to stand in the back because I was playing her mid, and I pretty much played only against Fizz. And so it was a great way to play Quinn because I could see how well she did when it came to roaming because you can push Fizz out of lane pretty easily. But it was also how well can I outplay him. And I have it, actually, does anyone know where I can report a bug? Because there is a bug with Quinn that I have found.
Somewhere in the forums, I believe.
Like go to
I know there is for the PvE. I'm not sure about regular bugs.
Yeah,
I'm sure
there-
it has to be.
I'm pretty
Reddit
sure
usually
there's
has a
section
mega
on the
bug
forums.
thread for new patches too.
okay.
Like
Maybe
mega
And I
bug,
mean,
mega
even
thread.
on Reddit, they have a mega like bug thread
Right.
that is usually up as well that you can.
Maybe I should have
slap
posted
stuff
in
down
there,
to.
but I didn't get
Yeah.
to play Quinn until this weekend. I noticed that it was either you Q or E. I have to figure it out. But if you Q and get the mark, we'll say, on the champion and fire, it doesn't proc the mark right away. You have to fire twice to get the mark to proc sometimes. So you can't wait for the passive. What was it? Auto, E auto, Q auto, because that last auto wouldn't necessarily go off, or that last auto would hit, but it wouldn't proc the mark. It was kind of really annoying. And the fact that I canceled her auto attacks like 17 times when chasing down a Leona the other day, but we won't talk about that either.
Yeah, actually, auto attack canceling seems a bit wonky in this patch.
Have you seen that happen? more often?
It's been.
I've had that
it's-
problem. Yeah.
I had that issue with Kindred playing her out of the jungle the other night, where the animation would complete, and as soon as I started moving, the projectile stops. It's like, okay, I don't know if it's just a projectile change or some little thing that slipped through the cracks with Marksman, or if this is going to be more common, because even after they said they'd fix that Trinity bug where when he was going to crit and the animation went off halfway, as long as
Nope.
it started, you were still going to be able to get that auto attack off. That
yeah.
didn't get fixed either. Like that was still there even after they had said it had been fixed.
It was bad, man.
I don't know where it's at right now.
I'm in
But
Joe
it's
and
not
Fabrics.
fun.
I remember sitting in Joe and Fabrics waiting for Mary, and Tira's texting me about it critting. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work anymore. He's like, dude, I just tried it this morning.
Yeah, I didn't have. I had more health jungling Tryndamere at level 1, finishing 2 camps without smiting red, than I do usually running through the jungle with Kindred after the patch, which I never have health problems on Kindred, and I had an easier time with Tryndamere, who in the past at least had a pretty brutal first clear.
Well, let's talk about jungle changes then, because I've been playing quite a bit of jungle recently. I tried a bunch of champions, and I have noticed the jungle is like, it's less forgiving than it was before with the changes to Stalker's Blade and others.
My
It's
only
not.
experience with jungle so far was a game last night where I forgot that everything spawns early. So I took damage, and me and my AD carry went back to heal. And my Nidalee got so mad that we didn't leash for her that she just kept suiciding to red for the first 5 minutes of
Wow.
the game.
Wow, you are so toxic.
Yeah, yeah. It was pretty funny.
I've seen
But
a
that was
couple
my only
junglers rip.
jungle.
It seems it's pretty harsh in there.
It's the reason that it's more harsh is because of less early game free stats that you would get from the old masteries, that you would get like 5% of X raw stat or a few points in something else. And now since the masteries are a little bit more spread, or that they give bonuses that aren't just, hey, here's some raw stats to go do stuff with, it makes the clear quite a bit different for certain champions.
Yeah, I played Wednesday. I played Pantheon in the jungle, and it wasn't too bad. I didn't. Yeah, I made it through the first 3 that I usually do, and then backed and grabbed my machete item. But then after that, it wasn't a problem, So, I don't know. I didn't really notice any difference. I was prepared for the early part after just discussing the patch, so I was ready for that and had a decent leash. So,
I played Pantheon jungle. He was so slow because the minions felt like because again you don't have all those free stats like the 3% increased damage and whatnot from 21.9 as it used to be, and it took me forever to kill anything even after I picked up my jungle item. And actually I'm really not a big fan of the jungle item cost increase because it feels like it takes forever to get to a jungle item now.
It feels like it takes way longer, and it's also when you're buying the jungle item, if you don't pick up if you don't pick up like a hunter's talisman early or the equivalent of that, the experience difference. Yeah, the experience difference is noticeable when you don't have that, because you get more XP once you buy it. Imagine that the experience would be noticeable out of the jungle, where you're usually getting less experience for the most part than a lot of the other lanes, as long as you're able to stay in lane. But the experience thing was super noticeable in that I tend to like to buy the stat heavier portion of things. So I like getting, if I'm going
machete item.
they changed the name on me now for certain things, but like when you buy Warrior, I prefer to get the Caulfield's Warhammer portion of it before I would get a different portion.
Right.
And if I'm going to go back, I'd like to get the double longsword rather than get a Hunter's Talisman and a longsword or a Hunter's Talisman and whatever else. But if you don't do that and you can't make anything happen with a gank or something like that, and you're behind 3 camps and they picked up a Hunter's Talisman or whatever, they're usually a level ahead. And that's huge. That changes, that changes the entire frame for counter ganks. That changes a lot of things. So now you actually have to make some pretty interesting decisions that, if you buy one thing and you head out into the jungle and you don't die right away, or you don't get a kill and back, or you're not low and you don't have to back, it can change the pacing of your game depending on what you end up buying early.
Yeah, funny story about that. I went... What was it? Is it Hunter's Potion? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah, I started Hunter Potion in Pantheon, killed the Krugs. No one stole XP from me, and I wasn't level 2 after I killed the Krugs. You have to have a jungle item to get level 2 off Krugs. And then I died to red buff.
Trying to do red at level 1.
Without smite, that was rough.
No bueno.
Well, I think that's something we all learned was buying the upgraded potion at level 1 isn't a good strat.
Right.
Even getting corrupting, like there goes some corrupting potion as well. You're usually better off just getting the single potion and then,
Yeah,
else
you
to
are
actually help you out in the lane
sacrificing
more.
some sustain with that because it's 150. It's 100 per tick rather than 150, so you're sacrificing an extra 100 life, which is noticeable on some of those champions that are having a harder clear. I can't think of any ones that I've had like really bad clears, but I've definitely noticed it trying to start that. And then, what's funny is I'll pick up that potion with full intent to upgrade, and then something happens in the game. I'll get a kill, but I won't get a kill like super early or, where you would think you need to upgrade, but it feels like it's too slow to buy that item and not go into your jungle items because jungle items cost more now.
Have you noticed when actually using a potion as well that I've pressed the potion plenty of times while missing health, and it won't activate?
Really? I haven't had that.
Yeah.
Was that just with the refillable? Because I haven't used them yet, but with the regular potions, I haven't had that problem.
It's with the
regular health
refillable.
potion.
It's with the refillable. Like you'd immediately go in to start doing damage. I think it's happened to me more on Kindred than I think anybody else. But like you'll immediately start hitting something, and you've used mana. I've used mana and I've used health up, and I hit it, and I look down, and there's still 2 charges, and I don't understand what's going on. So maybe I'm just bad and didn't hit it, but I'm usually pretty good with that stuff. So I don't know if that's just something weird. So
Now I'm gonna look out for it.
Let me know if anybody else ever has that happen. And
I just felt like the sustain wasn't enough. It's 60
it's
life
nothing.
and 30
it
mana,
feels
I think.
like nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember spamming the button as I'm walking through the jungle because I'll get tons of them because I'm killing big camps. So I'm like, I'm not getting any life back. But it's probably because I'm not losing any life either.
Well, in lane 2, the potions kind of felt underwhelming.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a good thing because, it's a good thing, unless you're Tryndamere or going up against Tryndamere or Yasuo.
Right.
But yeah, less sustain usually means that you don't have a farm fest.
Does it mess with anybody else as well when you expect to go back and buy a potion for 35 gold and you have to spend 50?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been running into that where it's like, oh, I have 40 gold, I should be able to. Oh, I have to wait like 4 more seconds, but that potion doesn't feel as powerful for the money as it used to for some reason. So I don't know.
Or starting a support when I used to start like 2 health and 2 mana, or
Right.
like 1 health and 3 mana or something. I'm like, where'd it go?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
welcome to League of
disappointing.
Dota. So
RIP mana pots, man.
did you guys talk about the
Who would have thought we'd ever say that, right? Like,
I know.
did you guys talk about the actual increase of jungle items, how much gold difference it is in the last patch? I never got around to listening to that episode.
I haven't brought up anything about the increase in the jungle item cost, but we did say that you're roughly gaining like an extra 100 gold per clear
Okay.
of the jungle.
Yeah, because
You know what?
it went from
My-
850 gold to 1050 gold to buy
Yep.
to buy an item, which is pretty significant.
It's
increase.
2 to 3 more camps.
my favorite thing about Riot and Preseason is for the past 2 years, in a world that doesn't exist, and an economy that resets itself at the end of every game, they've managed to create inflation because they add more gold into the game and they're like, oh shit, we have too much gold. We need to raise the prices of everything.
Right.
Like all the AP items, they don't gain anything. They just cost more now. That's my favorite thing. It's just we're just artificially creating inflation in our game.
Good job, Ryan.
Yeah, just add more gold, but to make up for it, we're going to make everything cost a little more. Thanks, Ryan.
Right?
That really makes sense. So I have noticed that I have not really been starting Hunter's Talisman on many of my junglers either. A lot of times I'm doing... I'm actually starting Hunter's Machete, and if I go back, I'm picking up Hunter's Talisman after my... I think it's like a clear +1, right?
Yeah.
Because it's 3 camps +1 to get Hunter's Talisman, if I remember correctly. So, have any of you guys played with Hunter's Talisman yet? Starting with anybody?
Yes.
I haven't played jungle yet.
No, I got a second item.
I mean, because I'm bringing this up, because generally speaking, everybody's probably running attack speed out of the jungle anyway to try to get some extra auto attacks off. And having 8% lifesteal off the auto attacks is generally more efficient than having extra mana, because you're gated by cooldowns with all that extra, with that mana regen that you have, unless you're somebody maybe like Fiddlesticks, I guess.
Yeah, I've been... At first, I wasn't picking up Hunter's Talisman as early, but as soon as I started recognizing how much XP I felt like I was losing by not having this, especially because if I don't see a gank opportunity, I tend to just power clear until one happens to present itself.
Yeah.
Or if you go to gank and you're waiting for a while and you turn around and then you start jungling again and you're still don't have that item, the experience is super. The loss of experience is noticeable if you don't have it. It's so rough.
Yeah, it's rough without any of those items. Man, dude, the XP inflation in this game right now is rough, is what it is. The one kill just sends people spiraling out of control.
With the talisman though, that depends on what kind of champion
What
you're playing.
jungler you're running, right? Because
if you're a ganker, it's not going to matter as much. If you're out there ganking the lanes, you're getting XP hopefully from assists and kills. Maybe a little taxing, but just staying in the jungle, I can see 15 per big guy?
It's 15, 15 per large monster, but you also have to think, like, even if you're spending time outside of the jungle and you're spending time in a lane, so you end up, you're going to go warrior with Tracker's Knife, so you end up picking up a longsword early or something like that.
Okay.
If you don't get a kill early, or you're not able to transition that money into something else, and then, like, you spent 30 seconds not farming through the jungle, and then you get back to the jungle and the other person's still looking for ganks and they buy that, and maybe they don't make something work either, but they have this item, it's not that much longer for clears before that 15 experience starts to stack up, especially in the early game.
Something I don't consider is that they're both unique passives, but it's called tooth and nail, so you can have both and have that extra 30 XP per monster. So if you're power clear, going back and picking up that Hunter's Talisman or Hunter's Machete is
right.
That actually, I hadn't even thought about that before we had talked, because a lot of times I'll go back and pick up boots early so I can move around more quickly through the jungle and try to make more gank opportunities. But I think it'd just be better for me to power clear and then look for counter gank or gank opportunities, whatever it may be. Because if I can hit 6, say on Nocturne before the enemy jungler is hitting 6,
that's big. That's
more
huge.
impactful.
Yeah, I mean that could that changes the opportunity. If he goes to counter and gank at 5 and you're 6, you probably flip that fight as long as your laner is able to react quickly enough and you're in range to do it. That in itself is really, really huge. I've also noticed most people are going Tracker's Knife. That I've seen played.
I've
seen so many
no
people go
reason
Tracker's
not
Knife.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, Chilling Smite is nice for early ganks and even a little bit later in the fight. Again, I'm going to use Nocturne for an example because he's probably the most successful jungler I've been playing. And that being able to R, once I get going, if I can R onto the enemy ADC and have the Chilling Smite, that helps quite a bit because generally they're going to flash or jump away. So making them slow is, more likely that my fear is going to land. But I like Tracker's Knife on a lot of people because those extra wards for my laners or for warding up my jungle, whatever it is far more impactful than a money-saving opportunity. I don't have to buy Sightstone.
Right.
Yeah, is it just like the totem?
It's
Yes.
like Wriggles.
It's
Pretty
it's
much
just
exactly
like
like the totem.
Just like the totem. I
Same
mean,
cool
other
down thing.
than
'Cause
it's
how
just
cool
like
is that?
the
Have a totem and a sweeper.
That's exactly what it is. It's amazing. You pick that up and you can deny vision as long as you know where certain things are, and then you get a bunch of free vision. And if you wanted to, you could have, let's say you didn't upgrade a sweeper, you could have a lot of wards without ever having to back, which is
Pretty
stupid
damn
too.
sweet.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it yet. I went with the tried and true.
There's so
Soft blade.
there's so much free vision out of the jungle with that though. I would be perfectly fine
Oh, yeah.
if it only had one charge on it rather than the two, because
Right, like
it's
Wriggles.
if you're able to get an advantage with a tracker's knife early, and then you can ward the enemy's jungle up with those wards, there's not that much they can do about it if you just want to run in and murk one really, really quick, and you have that information and they weren't able to run in and do it. And, yeah, they could buy it themselves and pick up a sweeper and just start sweeping bushes, but you have one charge of sweeper and you have two wards that you can place with trackers. So, like...
That's too awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try that. Have you tried tank jungles like Sejuani?
I have basically only
Since-
played Kindred, Tryndamere, and Lee Sin since...
Okay.
Well,
so-
this is a
I
good
damaged.
segue into Rift Herald, because the reason you don't see a lot of the tank junglers right now is because of Rift Herald and because of
Right.
the length of the games. Now, I'm going
kill it
to
fast.
precurse this with the fact that Ghostcrawler tweeted an Ask FM link the other day where somebody said the game seems too fast.
It
What's
was
going on?
his tweet was, "What's the point of playing a late game champion when every game is 22 to 25 minutes?"
Yeah. And Ghostcrawler's reply was, it's the preseason. People are probably just, people aren't used to the changes, so they're not playing properly, etc. We're going to keep monitoring it. But if the changes continue, like the trend continues this way where the games are short, we are going to step in and make some changes, which this is like the first time in 6 months, if not more, that I've actually seen. I'm not trying to throw Ghostcrawler under the bus, but Riot go, we're letting the players figure it out.
Right.
And that made me finally go, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm going to hold my reservations for that a little bit, because it's like, oh yeah, they're letting the players figure some stuff out, but that's basically after they decided to put all of their kids in a bathtub and flip the bathtub over and figure out, like, all right,
analogy.
get dry somehow, guys. Like, whatever. Let's go.
It's kind of hard to figure out what's strong when there's so many changes at once.
Right.
I mean, I can't
Yeah,
tell
but
if
you
it's the
know what?
marksman that's strong or the items that are strong.
Yeah, but considering all they did in the middle of the season, like they never used to make changes like they did in season 5. There were some huge changes that they came out with in the middle of, like, some of them happened relatively right before Worlds, like, and there wasn't a whole lot of time. And then they just kept, like, changing and changing and changing. We'd have like 2 weeks and where people would try to figure out if something could work, or if it wasn't, or if it was OP, if it was strong, and then they would change it again. So I'm just very glad they're letting us have a little bit of time to try to figure things out.
Yeah, it seems like the philosophy, instead of, like, let's say you're throwing darts on a board to make a picture, one dart at a time. Instead, they just throw all the darts at the board and then they start picking them away until the picture starts to form. And that seems to be the new strategy here from last season on to here.
analogies,
And I
I
like
love
it. It's exciting. It's different. It's like, here's all these changes. Have fun, guys. And then we'll see what sticks.
Yeah, but with these number of changes, you kind of need to give people probably about 3 months, if not a little more. I mean,
Hey,
Vagar,
imagine
for
that. That's
example.
usually how long preseasons last, right?
Yeah. Well, think about that. Like
How's
Vagar.
Vagar?
Remember how? Like before the patch came out. Remember how Vagar got changed probably halfway through the season, and it took people 6 months to realize that dude is actually really good.
Yep.
So how long until the community
I knew,
figures
right?
out that Rift Herald's better than Dragon?
Hopefully, right after this podcast, because Rift Herald is stupid.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Rift
And
Herald allows you to take an inhibitor at 17 minutes.
Yeah. Not to mention that is the eye being perma open a bug?
Yeah,
for
when
jungler standing behind it.
Yeah, if you have a
So-
jungling item and you stand behind it, the eye stays perma open.
Yeah. So if
Really?
you don't know that and you want to just start winning free Rift Heralds, get somebody to sit in front of it while your jungler stands behind it and basically 5 shots it.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
okay,
it
so
dies.
So it gives you the global gold, which Dragon no longer does, and that was why Dragon was so contested so early way back when, because, global gold really important, and the Baron buff. Okay, only one person gets it, but if you're all grouped up pushing, you only need one person to have that buff.
Right. And
Right.
there's also, even if you aren't grouped up pushing and you're playing somebody that's a strong split pusher, their enemy team has to react to stop that guy, because in a 1v1 situation with baroned up minions, he's probably going to win. And he can just keep
Yes, he will.
pushing. And if the other people have to deal with it, that opens up the map for, jungler, mid laner,
Especially when
whoever
you're
else to
talking
go
about
mid,
those champions like Fiora, Jax, and
Right.
Trinity
that can sit up there all
split
day.
pushing monsters on their own.
Yep.
Well, the thing is, for the people who are still thinking like Dragon's more important, Baron's more important, the point is that the game is so snowbally right now that if you're waiting and you're counting on getting your 5th Dragon, like you're taking the completely wrong approach to this game right now. So whereas the Rift
Herald.
Scuttler, Herald, that's what it is, will actually help you like propel yourself through that momentum and get you those turrets and get you those extra kills and give that pressure. And if you have enough early game pressure, especially right now, there's very little the enemy team can do to get back from it. They just can't recover. So the Rift Herald, that's why Rift Herald is so important. Because if Dragon is great, it's an awesome opportunity. It gives you a ton of damage, and then it's still nothing. Like you're waiting until 40 minutes into the game to do anything.
6% extra stats is not good until you have
a lot of stats.
A lot of stats, 2 or 3 items. The extra tower damage and whatnot's great, but you are gaining that through getting the Baron buff. Not to mention, it takes a lot of damage, and whoever tanks it has to go back. So you are sacrificing one person by taking that Rift Herald, but you can pick up that Rift Herald 3 times before it despawns. Essentially, you can pick it up early, and then you can pick it up right before it despawns at 1930 if you are on the ball about it. So that's 3 mini Baron buffs that you put on your team, and even if you are behind, you can use that mini Baron buff as a group to stall out the enemy team who might be snowballing a little bit. So it has just the opposite effect, where you can kind of stall them out to get back into the game. Now, when you have to think about it, where you're putting all your, if you are taking Rift Herald and you're not taking Dragons, you are putting all your eggs in one basket there.
I don't think so, because if you're using Rift Herald correctly and you're pushing down those towers, you're going to get dragons later. You're going to set up the map control, and because I think overall there's actually less vision now. Like I used to sit on Yellow Ward a lot before Season 6, and now that I'm sitting on Yellow Ward now, I don't like it. The trinket does not refill as fast. I feel like I have less vision on the map. So once you take out the enemy's towers, and they have less vision to actually, gain control back, that sets you up for dragons later.
Fair point. When you have the towers taken out, you can have you open up the map more for you.
Yeah, and with that pushing power, they better get that dragon before you finish the Rift Scuttler, because
Rift
you're going to
Herald.
push a lane. They're going to have to react. They're not going to be able to get dragon, and you can probably get a free dragon on the back end of it, so it can trickle down from there.
Well, I'll gladly trade a Herald for a dragon for the first couple
Rift Herald.
dragons, because unless it's Dragon 5, I don't really care how many dragons you have. Because again, you don't ever really see the effects of the extra tower damage unless you're somebody like Tristana or anybody who can actually get up onto the tower. And how do you get on the tower if you don't have a Baron buff now?
Right.
There are ways.
Yeah,
but
there are definitely
we can
ways.
get into those later.
Well,
I'm thinking of items and
rapid fire cannon.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I think more people should start prioritizing Rift Herald. I think it is a great opportunity in solo queue to get your team to mobilize to it, and I do think a lot of people are still putting a lot of pressure on the Dragon. I have turned a lot of teams over to it. What I like about Rift Herald as well is we've talked about map pressure, and that's the team has to deal with the person with the Baron buff, leaving 4 of you to push down the side lane, and generally speaking, it's going to take 2 people to take that person out with that Baron buff, to push those minion back and get them off the tower and not have the wave start to snowball on top of the tower. Because, again, it's a mini Baron buff. The minions are getting extra stats. They're a little more tanky. They do a little more damage.
Did you guys notice more solo queue lane swaps with the top having more?
I haven't seen any yet.
I haven't
emphasis?
seen any yet.
Okay.
I've tried it.
I think
I've seen a
It
lot
didn't
of
work very well.
ADs everywhere, but not like a lane swap scenario.
I think the meta is too ingrained in the solo queue people right now that it's going to it is going to take a monumentous change to force people to stop playing 2 bot and 1 top. Like there's just too many people, and it's too hard to change 5 years worth of 1-1-2 right now. Now I
And
do
I gotta
think
tell you, I hate seeing that split, like the lane swap in top lane, because people don't play it correctly. You need a lot of communication to pull it off. It doesn't usually work when you go into a solo queue environment. Even if you have like a duo top, like that can handle that, there's a good chance that your bot, whoever was your top laner, has no idea how to deal with the poke coming from the enemy team. It's just, there's so many things that go into that. I guess maybe with dynamic queue that'll change some. I don't know.
Probably
But I
not
just
really.
I hate seeing things like that in solo queue because I feel like they're rarely executed well.
Yeah, right now we had a whole episode on the lane swap and everything. Do you think that changes a little? The dynamics change with the new early monster in the Baron Pit. You think people are going to figure this out? Something's going to change. Maybe there's going to be a whole new structure coming down the pipe. More teleports.
I mean, maybe you could see 2v2 top, because the only reason you had 2v2
Marksman
bot
teleport.
was because of the dragon.
Yeah, I was thinking if we were to see a swap in solo queue, it would be because of a 2v2 top in pro play. So that's a contingent on a lot. It's contingent on Rift Herald remaining as powerful as it is, and pro teams actually dedicating 2 players up top. Because even when they lane swap now, it's not really 2 people top. It's the support roaming and then the marksman soloing top lane.
We saw a lot of pro play where it was 2 people bot, but it was top and support together with ADC farming for 20 minutes by himself in the top lane, and that never happened in solo queue. One of the ways that solo queue is going to change, if that would ever change, is that you would have to have people understand how to play the lane swap first, and then people would have to understand how to counter the lane swap by bringing 2 people up there. So you would I think you have to have those steps to get people to swap the lanes right now. Because if you don't know how to play a 2v1, you're not going to go top anyway with some random person.
Right.
2v2 mid actually wouldn't be bad, because you could have your ADC and support either go towards Rift Herald or towards Dragon. It gives them a lot of flexibility. But the problem is the reason you have your AP mid is because they generally don't have a lot of mobility, and it's the shortest lane. So then you have to figure out what you're going to do there. The meta's always been defined by the highest levels, so it's all going to depend on what challengers and masters do. And then slowly it'll trickle down, and then maybe people will catch on.
How long were people double jungling, and that hardly trickled down into platinum, let alone gold, silver, and bronze.
I mean, it only started like trickling down into platinum a month before everything changed too. Like, I mean, even though it was popular, and there was a lot of people that have been talking a lot about double jungling, especially with some of the people we talked to in the TeamSpeak and whatnot. I didn't see anybody doing it, at least in the plat level, like 2 months before the end of the season. So
I think a lot of that is just like a lack of desire to learn, not necessarily like by everybody, but in plat you have people who are just like naturally talented and don't really pick up on a lot of the strategy, but are just good mechanically, or you have the people who really in depth pay attention to strategy, pay attention to what's going on. But if you mix that, it doesn't work. Like, at least in high diamond masters challenger, you can count on almost everybody knows how to double jungle, and if they don't, they'll say, I don't know how to double jungle. But in plat, you know that people are going to do it, have no idea how to do it. They're going to throw games. Like, you can't count on anybody to be there for you. And again, I guess with dynamic that might change, but who knows, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot riding on this dynamic queue and being able to go with 3 buddies.
Have we talked about our thoughts on dynamic queue yet? Or was I not around for that?
Well, we're not talking about that yet. We need to.
Okay.
I kind of want that to go. Have a little bit more time on the PBE before it happens.
Gotcha.
And besides, actually, 4 Wards is talking about dynamic queue and solo queue next season and their thoughts on it and whatnot. So if you want to hear some, some other thoughts, some other people's opinions, you can listen to that. We will talk about that in the future. We do need to talk about
I'd like
some.
to get more details on it though first.
Yeah, so would I. I like to play a couple on it before I really give my thoughts, because it's a lot of conjecture at this point.
At the same time, I do like just bullshitting what I think's gonna happen, and then pleasantly or unpleasantly being terribly surprised afterward.
Well, let's talk about items. Let's talk about rapid fire cannon, because I know Punch kind of his eyes lit up a little bit when he saw that.
Sure. So to back up a little bit, I think the marksman items and the marksman champions can kind of be split into 2 groups here in 2 different builds. One is the popular license Reaver into the Trinity Force build, which is probably the most powerful, and people like Lucian, Ezreal, Corki, even Graves and Misfortune can build that. And, you get your 40% CDR and you're blowing people up with crits and Sheen and huge damage on Essence Reaver now. It's fantastic. You get all the stats you need. And then there's this quirky Static Shiv Rapid Fire Cannon build, which you would build on someone like Caitlyn or possibly Tristana. I didn't actually get to try it on her. Maybe Vayne. Vayne's an insane duelist with a new Phantom Dancer.
Vayne is doing Static Shiv Rapid Fire Cannon right now. Because
I think anybody with auto attacks, just playing auto attacks, not a spellcaster, but playing auto attacks will do it. Yeah, I mean, so I played Caitlyn with it. It was my first time. And when the stars aligned, when I got a headshot and a crit and Rapid Fire and Static Shiv all proccing at once, I would do about 75% of the target's HP.
I was noticing that I would be playing Lee Sin, or I think I played Jax into a game against Caitlyn too, and she had one headshot proc on me, and it did 2/3 of my health and damage.
Yes, it's gross.
I didn't I had been killing Caitlyn a lot, so I don't know where that damage just came from, but headshot is something to be feared now.
Yeah, I'll give
Punch, what did you
props
think about
to Dom and his brother because they were the first one to turn me on to this. Go ahead, Daze.
Oh, I was going to say, what did you think about like her early laning phase? Because I played against one last night, and I was in a Vayne lane, which we should have lost bad, and she didn't hurt early. She didn't feel like she used to, where you were afraid of her. You couldn't get into position to CS, like you were going to take a lot of damage. Last night it was kind of like just, oh, okay, that tickled. Now I'm going to pin you to a wall, and Vayne could like out damage Kate in lane. At least last night.
Were you running Bond of Stone by chance?
I wasn't the one playing Vayne.
Oh, okay. Was the person? No, not Vayne. Was the support running Bond of Stone? 8% damage reduction plus you take some of your enemies. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So, first of all, Kate's not going to be. If Kate does trade with Vayne and auto attacks, yeah, Vayne's going to win. But I mean, Kate's entire game plan lane is to not do that and to poke from a distance. I do think Kate does less damage
but we could
Q.
run up to her. Like we didn't even have to be afraid of Kate.
And that's, I think, a problem with trap placement because she can lay down full traps all the time now. That shouldn't really happen.
Right.
She has
felt like
a lot
she
more
wasn't
lane
as
control.
scary in lane as she used to be. But that was one game, so it might have just been a weird perception. But that's how it felt last night. It was like, oh, well, I'm not afraid of Kate anymore.
Well, so when I'm trying, I realize when I'm trying to harass with Q and it goes through a minion, it does less damage. That's a lot less scary. I have to hit them first with it. Other than that, I just had complete control with traps. Anytime they would hit a trap, you get that free headshot. So they quickly learn not to step on those, and you basically just control the lane. Now, if you are so with the rapid fire build and Static Shiv, you're not building that first BF sword. You're not rushing that. So that is a lot less damage with headshots and from poke. So she kind of sacrifices a little bit of damage there. I tried 2 games. One was rapid fire cannon first into... No, it was Static Shiv first into Infinity Edge. Second game was Static Shiv into rapid fire. There's a lot of power with Static Shiv into Infinity Edge. There's a good post on Reddit why going Infinity Edge first now really isn't the way to go, just because you're purely only paying for 50% extra crit. Mm-hmm. You go check it out if you're interested. But I mean, he made a compelling case for why you would want to get another item with crit before finishing your Infinity Edge. So Static Shiv into Infinity Edge worked out really well. When I went Static Shiv into Rapid Fire Cannon, I lost a lot of that oomph. Like I didn't have the raw 80 behind it, which seems obvious. But I thought that the proc from Rapid Fire Cannon would help make up for that, and it just really didn't. I tried dueling another Kate who went Infinity Edge first with that build, and he just tore me up.
Yeah, I built
so it seemed pretty obvious that you still want to get the BF item second.
I was going to say, I played Quinn mid, and I went Static Shiv Rapid Fire Cannon, and I didn't have that oomph that I needed. I needed some extra AD on top of it to synergize with their abilities.
But once you do finish all 3 items then it's amazing.
Of
but
course
those 2 attack speed items first, I didn't feel like they were enough.
Yeah, I didn't get that far. We ended the game before she got 3 items, so.
A lot of the ADCs, the caster ADCs, are all going Essence Reaver into some kind of crit, Static Shiv, Rapid Fire Cannon, Eye Edge, whatever it may be. Illusion right now being the new OP because he can get 40% cooldown reduction real quick. We had talked about that previously, how Essence Reaver was the new go-to rush item. And
Sure.
I like that. I like the step item on it where it gives you 25 attack damage and 10% cooldown reduction. It's 2 long swords plus. I can't remember what the hell the name of it is right now. Does anyone have that in front of them by chance?
What is it?
It's the. It looks like a hammer.
Yeah, it looks like a hammer.
Shit,
The
I
hammer.
had it up just a few minutes
Warhammer.
ago. It's like, hold on.
There's the C.
Do I gotta type hammer?
Yeah,
Caulfield's
Hammer
hammer.
or something like
Caulfield's hammer.
Yeah, Maufield's
Caulfield.
hammer.
Who's-
That's it.
Who the hell
Caulfield.
is Caulfield?
Caulfield. Sorry.
Yeah, it's 1100 gold total, 25 attack damage, 10% cooldown reduction. But I really like that item step. It feels like you can pick that up before you pick up BF sword. I mean, BF sword's what, 1350 gold right now. Caulfield's 1100. So all that money you're spending to get to that eye edge, you're pumping again into Caulfields, but you're getting more stats that help out those.
Not
those
only that,
gunslingers.
this is a good step item. Everything that this thing builds into is good.
Yeah.
All right, Black Cleaver, Death Dance, Essence Reaver, Warrior Enchantment for jungling items, and Yomus. Like, those are all really good, and it's cool that one item builds into all of those good items, so you can pick it up and be like, okay, I need this more for X situation, let's go.
Yeah, it's the same thing with, well, not the same thing, but Serrated Dirk. I really like that item right now. Like, before I thought that wasn't going to be that great, like it was old Brutalizer, but Serrated Dirk builds in Youmuu's, and Youmuu's is 65 attack damage. Cooldown reduction, right? Youmuu's, do they not?
On par with Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver now.
Yeah, it's. Wait, is this? Are they going to give this to me? I can't even type in Youmuu's.
They're using the apostrophe?
Oh no, it's because it's YO, not YOO.
Oh.
Or YOU, sorry. No, Youmuu's is Serrated Dirk and Caulfield's Warhammer, which we
Caulfield's.
talked about.
Yep.
65 attack damage, 10% cooldown reduction, 20 armor penetration, and grants movement speed and attack speed. Like, that item is really good on a lot of people. Doctor Jace really likes this item right now. A lot of 80 carries would like this if Essence Reaver wasn't so damn good because of the extra attack speed and damage that it has on it. But
And it's 400 gold cheaper than those items with the same amount of attack damage on it.
and it's flat armor penetration, which we don't
Yes.
see very often anymore with these new items because it's we see a lot of bonus armor penetration, not flat.
Yeah,
armor
you
penetration.
can't mitigate base armor with Last Whisper anymore. So this is your way to do that. Your only way.
So
Unless
I
you
mean,
go
yeah,
with runes.
in Serrated Dirk, giving after you kill a unit, you get plus 15 damage on your next attack, which is awesome. Where for trading and landing. especially
Last
if you
hit
got
trade,
heavy
last hit trade, yep.
Oh, so good, so good. But yeah, I want to go. I just like to take that back. I said no one builds Youmuu's, and I didn't actually fully look at the item. And then I started playing with it and realized how goddamn good it is.
It's good now. It's really
Well, you
good.
know, the nice thing about it is that it's always been like that mid to like early late game item. And when you're dealing with an item like that, flat damage is 100% always better than crit chance. Like, it just makes it stronger. So this change to Youmuu's is just advantageous to anybody who, you know, was turned off by that crit chance. It makes it a stronger mid game item than it was before.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, but speaking of an earlier mid game item, Ginsu's Rageblade, which is all the rage right now on everybody.
It's so good. That
saw-
item is so good.
I played against
Yeah.
an AP Zen with Ginsu's. Irelia's rushing Ginsu's Rageblade now instead of Trinity Force because it's more cost effective.
Jax, guys.
yeah,
Jax.
it's
Sure and I both played a lot of Jax.
Oh man, you got to be on the receiving end of Dom nom, making me God mode Jax, which was really fun for me. I don't know how other people felt, but that item is amazing.
Yeah, it was
on him.
okay.
It was amazing on him.
Well, it's like the only
Yeah.
item now that is doing an AOE. They changed Tiamat, so it only does in front of you, like all the other, like Titanic Hydra and whatnot. So the big one here is the unique Ginsu's Rage. Basic attacks deal 20, plus 15 bonus AD, plus 7% AP. Bonus on-hit magic damage. On-hit magic damage to the target nearby units in the area of effect. So after you've stacked it up, you're doing magic damage with your auto attacks.
I heard you like hybrid damage. Let's
So you're
have you
doing-
build AD and then do bonus magic
You're doing
damage.
Kale's E, pretty much, for having this item.
Yeah, Jax didn't
little
need
AoE
the extra power to split push, but he's got it anyway.
Yeah.
When I rushed this item first, like sitting on the components in lane sucks. just sitting on a blasting wand or a pickaxe. It's terrible. But as soon as I finished the item, it was amazing. I could duel anybody. And then I think you guys might be able to correct me on this, but the build I heard for Jackson, what I did was Gwynso's into Hex Tech. And when I finished so I felt a huge power spike when I finished Gwynso's. When I finished Hex Tech, I didn't feel that. I didn't really feel like I got that much stronger. I just felt like I had the active. I paid for the active. But I was still able to melt everybody, so I guess it really didn't matter.
The Blade of the Ruin King, they nerfed it again.
Yeah.
With this patch, so it's not. You might as well go with the hybrid damage or continue to add on power onto Ginsu's Raid Blade with more hybrid.
So I could see why you're building that over Blade of the Ruin King. The problem I have is just I feel I want that attack speed from somewhere.
Right. No, that's the big piece of replacing the Blade of the Ruin King with the Hex Tech. Because, like, you would think, oh, hey, Hex Tech, great. You know, it's giving you that extra amount of lifesteal, not just from your autos, but also from the abilities you're using. And since you're threading W's in with stuff, like, that's pretty awesome. And since you're doing bonus magic damage, that's great, too. But getting those...
Takes you longer to ramp up, man.
Yeah, that Blade of the Ruin King... being able to get off 2 to 3 extra hits to get more out of the attack speed you're already gaining per hit between your passive Ginsu's, you know, even a mix between old school Blade of the Ruin King, extra attack speed to build up your passive with Trinity Force. When you're playing Jax, you want to get everything basically stacked up as quick as possible so that you hit critical mass immediately. And this removes that a little bit. The nice thing is Ginsu's does give attack speed, so
but it still ramps up. So
right, it's still that ramp up time.
I
Whereas
was
you could
talking
get flat attack speed otherwise.
Yeah, I think you could live with these 2 items, but I really felt compelled to build a third attack item, which Jax traditionally didn't need.
Right,
his old build is Blade of the Ruin King, Trinity Force, and then full defense.
Yep.
But now I feel like you can make a case for a third attack item, and I don't know if he needs it.
Probably not.
It's weird. Like I could see it one way, I could see it both ways.
When he's on with Jax, he's also getting armor magic resist through AP and AD. So
yeah, but the missing health is noticeable because your ult like when you activate your ult, that extra health gets it makes everything with your ult active that much better when you have health, and then it's like, hey, you have this extra pool of health. Here's a bunch of resistances to make that even more meaningful.
What was I going to say? Oh, I was talking to Crazy Phil, who is trying to figure out runes and masteries right now for Irelia. Because he feels like he needs to make up for that extra attack speed he's losing through Trinity Force. So,
I've actually heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah, so he was trying to build... I think he did 24% attack speed, didn't like it that well, so he's going to ramp it down. But I think they're going to end up running like 15% attack speed through runes, just because they need... Yeah, again, they need to make up for that extra attack speed they're losing. And they're not doing as much damage. But it just takes too long for them to ramp up if they go Trinity Force now. But speaking of Trinity Force, the change to Sheen has made that item pretty dumb on a lot of champions. It's up to them.
Or dumb good funny. Or dumb bad?
Dumb good.
I like it. I like the change because putting CDR on an item like that makes me really, really happy. But then I also used to Band-Aid a whole lot of champions that I played as Bruiser with the mana from Sheen if I was giving away blue buffs when I'm jungling. So part of me is crying one lone tear for Sheen, and then the other part of me is like, all right, so now I just don't waste mana and I land things more often, and
You're
can
still
use
getting
abilities
mana.
more.
You get 50
you
more
get
mana.
more mana. You just don't get ability power.
Oh, sorry, the ability power. All right, well then I'm just retarded, and that doesn't make
I was
any
like, what are you
sense.
talking about? You get 50 more mana now with
I
it.
forgot about. All right, so it was the ability power. All right, I'm just incredibly
He's
wrong.
drunk.
I apologize.
DAP.
No,
okay. Yeah.
I'm panicking because of surgery tomorrow, but it's okay.
You'll be fine, buddy. Don't worry.
But no,
I'll come there and hold your hand. You're in functional
built.
hand.
I've built the first game I played Jax since the new changes have come out. I built T-Force right off the bat too, before I knew how broken Ginsu's was, and I ended up buying Sheen first just because I was already winning lane pretty hard. But that CDR made life so much easier because you can do a lot more fun trades when you're ease up more often. So I don't know. I think that item, I mean, it makes that item better for AD carries too now that you can use abilities more. Like that item just got way better in general.
They're still building it, but they're building it second because Essence
Yeah.
Reaver is so amazing.
Right.
Corki is a little sad. The AP is gone.
Yeah, a little.
But I mean, he'll probably go back to building it first still when they normalize Essence Reaver.
The difference now being that it's cheaper to build because it's 200 gold cheaper to build. A lot of champions that have high base attack damage, like Rengar and others, can build this item and 2 or 3 shot somebody thanks to the proc on.
I've seen it happen. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. A lot of people have built Trinity Force. I think Trinity Force really is kind of the end-all be-all item right now. Like, a lot of people want Trinity Force. A lot of those AD casters want Trinity Force. I am almost convinced that Essence Reaver into Trinity Force is going to be the build once this game kind of levels out a little bit with how.
Oh yeah, it's already the best build. That's why the spellcasters are the best marksmen right now.
Yeah.
Like they didn't change. They hardly changed Lucian at all, but all of a sudden he's the best one. Where did that come from?
Between the cost reduction on T-Force and the cost increase on Blade of the Rune King, if you're buying both of those items, it still levels out. Like, I mean, it's still the same amount of money. You're just losing 2%.
You're losing power spikes. That's what it is.
You're losing spikes 2% damage per auto from the Blade of the Rune King nerf, but the money stays the same. So, like, going back to the Ginsu's thing, I don't know if the reason why Ginsu's is taking over a little bit is because Blade of the for the cost, it's just better than Blade of the Rune King, so it's filling that gap. It's just now you're trading lifesteal for that.
It's magic damage on hit and the ability to clean and roam rather than.
It's the ability to push lanes. On top of, it's harder to itemize against you when you're doing damage to them. Even though you'd be doing percentage health damage with Blade of the Rune King, you're doing less than you were before, and now they need double resistances in order to.
I mean, hybrid damage is always superior.
Right. And the only trade-off is a little bit of lifesteal.
Which, depending on the champion, you don't even need. I mean, a lot of marksmen, I didn't even buy a lifesteal item because I could get the Keystone Mastery. Lets me heal on crit, which is awesome. I don't need to get Bloodthirster. All right.
You don't like that big shield, so you can't be blown up ever.
I just kill people now before they get to me.
Right. Sorry.
So
Excuse me, Punch. Right. He's leading the charge down mid lane with the Rift Herald.
I'm just looking at these. I don't know if the build that used to be there are a lot of champions that used to Aurelia. You could do it way back on Hecarim. You could definitely on Jax. It was the build Blade of the Rune King, build T-Force, go full tank afterwards, and it does look more so like it's going to be possibly get Gunblade, Ginsu's T-Force, and then full tank.
Game should be over by then.
The game will be over by then.
Yeah.
I had a game where it wasn't, but eventually it did.
Yeah, it's a long one. How about Varus? Have you tried Varus Punch?
I have not tried Varus.
I played Varus.
Yeah, I thought you did.
Nothing crazy, nothing too much different. Probably still as good, if not better, out of mid lane.
Because he picked up steam in the mid lane, and then this happened. I haven't seen him in preseason yet, so curious to see.
The problem before you were building Manamune, so you were picking up an early tier, but the games are going too quickly for you to stack that tier, and you need a power spike earlier, so you have to rush into Essence Reaver. But then you have to build crit after that, and you can't build, and you need on hit to crit, and your Q can't crit. So not bad, but not as good as you would think it would be. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's just outshone by the other casters.
And that's pretty much what it is, yes.
Because of how crit works.
If you're picking Ezreal, or if you're picking Varus to poke, why don't you just pick Ezreal instead?
And I see blue build. I've seen a couple blue build Ezreals recently because of Essence Reaver.
I didn't feel like I needed the tier.
No, you don't need the tier. It's like blue build without the tier.
Oh, okay. What build is that?
Blue build Iceborne Gauntlet. Duh. No, I don't know. Blue build. It's kind of like Essence Reaver, Static Shiv, Iceborne Gauntlet, whatever it may be. Sheen. Just
all those not blue items and the blue.
We call blue build Ezreal at this point anything that has on hit. It's on hit Ezreal. How's that?
If it's two blue items, that's good enough. Damn it.
Right.
Is AD Marksman Annie coming back?
Yeah, right.
With these new items, can you see it work?
No, she does
Is
not have
someone
the
gonna do
range she had. Sorry to Claude.
Just try to think
My-
outside the box here.
My concern is 80, like Marksman, have always had a difficult time with itemization because every item that they get is then used on bruisers. And when bruisers have too much health and too much damage, then there's a huge issue. So I'm hoping that with all of these changes that they made, that if some of these items prove to be too powerful for bruisers, that maybe they consider making some more ranged only items. I mean, they do it with jungle items where you can't pick up jungle items in other lanes. I feel like that would be one of the best ways to kind of fix the fact that you have a dual-edged sword with these AD items, because either you have ADs that can't have the power spikes they used to, or ADs have felt in the past 2 seasons like they don't have the power they used to, or you have these like bruisers that come out, you can't kill them, and then they chunk you for like 40% of your health with one hit.
And
So I'm
that's
hoping they hit somewhere in between.
that rationalization even goes into why Blade of the Rune King is weaker, even though they nerfed the amount of percentage health damage. It's because we're not seeing as many, at least I'm not seeing as many tanky people, so that item means way less when you're fighting against somebody with 1800 health.
Yeah, what Daze is saying is a huge concern of mine as well. I'm surprised I haven't seen a lot of AD bruisers going Essence Reaver. I think it's just because the hybrids like Jax, Aurelia are building Gwynsos, and they've kind of taken over as far as the bruiser land goes. But I mean, they have addressed that a little bit with the introduction of rapid fire cannon, and nerfing Blade of the Rune King.
Why do
Blade
you,
of the Rune
keep
is
calling it Gwynsos? It's Ginsus.
Ginsu's
Whatever.
Rage Blade.
God.
Stop throwing me off. But
Sorry.
Blade of the Rune King was bought a lot by bruisers, sometimes by Marksman, and now Marksman have 3 Zeal items that they can choose from. One of which is not strictly ranged only, because melee does get the increased range for rapid fire cannon, but no one's buying that.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where, like, if they say, "Oh, okay, well, Ginsu's is too powerful on, Jax and so, then they're gonna nerf it, and then they're just gonna pick up the next AD item that they have down the line.
That's what's gonna happen next.
Like, unless you put some sort of restriction on it, you're not gonna be able to get these bruisers out of some of these items, and then ADs are gonna end up in the same situation where they have very limited build paths and they feel like they're weaker than they were before.
You already hear it a little bit
they
with Talon. Talon's making a comeback because of these
Right.
items.
I think that's a good discussion there. An hour of discussion of items and what we've seen, the changes we've made. Guys, we've made it. We did it. Does anyone else have anything else to add? Anyone that we're
Can I
missing?
talk about Gwynsos Tristana?
Ginsu's Tristana? Sure. If you like
No,
to talk
I
about
want to.
Ginsu's Tristana.
The game ended too fast. I don't even know if it's good. That was the game we took the inhibitor in 17 minutes.
That stupid
I'm like,
game.
well, I think this build is good, but we're stomping, so.
Well, let's try it now.
Yeah, we'll go try it. You can play it next. I'll play me some Jungle Nocturne, show you the guys'
Alright.
power serrated dirt.
Hybrid Tristana.
I actually
I'm
learned something
terrified.
tonight. I learned something tonight, though, about that extra experience. I had no idea that Tooth and Nail were 2 separate, because I don't read the patch notes, even though I do the podcast.
So
you guys
are
are
you gonna-
welcome.
Well, you read the
gonna-
patch notes, but you don't at the same time.
Right.
Adam reads what he wants to read in the patch notes. He just alters it to suit his needs.
I wish it was that. I wish it was that true. Could I just
Selective
say,
reading.
Nocturne one-shots. Change the R. But only when I play. Yeah, guys, thanks for listening to us. I want to throw something out there for anybody who's listening to this. If you guys aren't listening to our other shows on the network, you should head over to TrinityForceNetwork.com and check us out, because today is Monday, November 16th. That's when we're doing the podcast. So on Tuesdays, T-Force RPG goes live with It's a Long Story, Chira Jaden's.
I'm a beautiful part of that, though. I don't know if I'll
He won't be on it for a while.
on tomorrow. Well, I'll be on. I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow's show because of the elbow thing. But my surgery is at 7:30 a.m., so I might be around. It's just I won't have use of my arm, and I might be highly medicated.
Yeah, you probably
So,
won't play. You
That
should
would be
probably
pretty
be
funny.
sleeping.
I might actually watch that one.
Wow. Yeah, guys, go check out the T-Force RPG group. You can find them over at TrinityForceNetwork.com. there's a link up top to how to get in there. You can go play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm starting up a Dungeons and Dragons group as well. Mary and I are both going to be playing after we played at Extra Life. She loved it so much she wanted to jump in and play. So
we corrupted another one.
Hold on, Chi-Chi, real quick.
Hey.
You're going to the doctor for the elbow thing? Are you going to get operated on?
My
So is that a joint
surgery's
operation?
Ha! It's yes, kind of.
Okay, so
guess.
T-Force
Maybe.
RPGs on Tuesdays, guys. Don't forget about that. A Four Wards podcast. If you're a brand new beginner, you're jumping in here, you have no fucking clue what is going on, and you heard us all talk about all these changes. You're like,
Very
I don't know
entertaining.
how to
Good
play
timing.
League of Legends. Yeah, welcome.
Very good podcast.
Four Wards podcast on Thursdays. They are doing an RP giveaway, so if you're listening to this, you might listen to this before Thursday. Get a email into the Four Wards guys, at trinityforcepodcast.com, I believe is the email address. If not, it's on the page. Go find it. And let them know what I think you let them know what your favorite where's it at? Hold on, let me find it.
Wow,
Stand
we
by.
were prepared.
Four Wards is doing a write-in contest for $10 on RP. Just let us know what you learned from this season. We'll announce it in the winners this Thursday. So last season, what did you learn? Cool. Tell us what you learned. You'll win $10. You could win $10 on RP. LCS Rundown goes live here, guys, right after this live show. They are talking about the changes to EUNNA, not to mention the changes that happened
Combining
with
regions.
Team Coast. If you guys haven't heard about Team Coast, go listen to LCS Rundown because that shit is bonkers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
TLDR, someone bought Team Coast, Team Coast spot, for millions of dollars.
And now there's good players.
And now there's like amazing players, like top team ever. And they're going to talk about larger beta questions in esports. Don't forget that the OzLOL guys are out there doing their stuff over in Australia land. So you guys need to go check them out, please.
Over in Australia.
And then there's there's also Hearth of the Cards, our Hearthstone podcast. Go check them out. It's hard to say Hearth when you're talking quickly. That's it, guys. Please go check everybody out. And trinityforcenetwork.com, reddit.com/r/tforce network. Go join us. We're going to break 800 here, people, soon. Subscribe to that. Let's take 1,000. If you are the thousandth person to subscribe to the T-Force Network subreddit, I'll give you $10. You prove it to me. You send me a screenshot that you were the 1,000th. If you were the 1,000th person, I can't talk. Never can I. But yeah, tell me, show me 1,000th. You'll get $10 on RP. You heard it right now, patch or on 11/17/2015. There you go, guys. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah.
Or Wednesday?
Yeah, later.
Wednesday. Well, I don't know
Wednesday.
if I'll be around Wednesday.
See you guys.
We love you.
Bye.